Hello friends. Today we'll be discussing about mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice that quiets the noise inside us. Without mindfulness, we can be pulled away by many things. Sometimes we are pulled away by the regret and sorrow concerning the past. We revisit old memories and experiences only to suffer again and again the pain we have already experienced. So it's very easy to get caught in the prison of the past. In the same way, we may also get pulled away by the future. A person who is anxious and fearful about the future is trapped just as much as one bound by the past. Anxiety, fear, and uncertainty about future events prevents us from hearing the call of happiness. So the future also becomes a kind of prison. Now, if we try to be in the present moment, many of us get distracted and feel empty, as if we had a vacuum inside. We may long for something, we may expect something, we may wait for something to arrive to make our lives a little more exciting. We anticipate that something will change the situation because we see the situation in the present moment as boring, as nothing special, as nothing interesting. We say that I am here in mindfulness. What does it mean? I exist. I am really here because I am not lost in the past, nor in the future, nor in my thinking, nor in the noise inside, nor in the voice outside. I am here. Now there are different types of concerns which preoccupies us. One can be called as daily concerns. We are preoccupied with our daily concerns about how to make enough money, how to get enough food, shelter, and other material things. Apart from this, we also have something called affective concerns, the mental or emotional type of concerns. For example, thoughts regarding whether or not some particular person loves us, whether or not our job is secure, etc. We worry all day because of these kind of thoughts and questions. We may be physically safe, our hunger may be satisfied, we may have a roof above our heads, we may have a loving family, but still we can keep worrying constantly. There is something called ultimate concern, which does not concern itself with material or emotional concerns, which many of us may be having but might not have perceived. Questions like, what do I want with my life? Why am I here? Who am I? What do I want to do in life? These are the type of questions that we typically don't perceive, or we don't make the time to answer. Mindfulness gives us the inner space and quietness which allows us to look deeply into these type of questions. The practice of mindfulness is very simple. We stop, we breathe, and we still our mind. Buddhism says that there is a vacuum inside us. We don't feel comfortable with that vacuum, and so we try to fill it up or make it go away. In the modern world, technology supplies us with many devices that allows us to stay connected. In fact, we are always connected. But still, we continue to feel lonely. We keep checking our mails, WhatsApp, Facebook messages, Instagram messages, and social media sites multiple times a day. We want to share, we want to receive. We keep ourselves busy all day long in an effort to connect. But still we feel desolate and unloved. We feel we lack something important. Now, Buddhism says that there are four kinds of food that every person consumes every day. These are called as the four nutriments. They are one, edible food, two, sense impressions, three, volition, and fourth, consciousness, which includes both individual and collective consciousness. Edible food is, of course, the food that we eat with our mouth every day. The second type of food, which is the sense impressions, are the sensory experiences which we receive through our five senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body. It also includes the mind. It includes what we hear, what we read, what we smell, what we touch, the SMS messages, the WhatsApp notifications, the sound outside, all these things. The third source of nutriment is volition. Volition means our will, our desire. This is called food because it feeds our decision, our actions, and our movements. Without any volition, there simply will be no desire, no movement. The fourth kind of food is consciousness. This includes our individual consciousness, the way our mind feeds itself and feeds our thoughts and actions. It also includes collective consciousness. All these four types of foods can be either healthy or unhealthy, nourishing or toxic, depending upon what we consume, how much we consume, and how aware we are of our consumption. Because each type of food affects us so deeply, it's important to be aware of what and how much we are consuming. Our awareness is the key to our protection. Without protection, we absorb far too many toxins. Now, regarding the first type of food, that is edible food, we all know how food affects how we think. For example, junk food can make us tired, jittery, negative, and very tamasic. We may not be hungry, we may not need to eat, but still we find something to eat anyway because we want to cover up the feeling of emptiness inside us. This is called stress eating. Now, the second type of food, sense impressions, is what we take in with our senses and with our mind, which includes conversations, music, entertainment, what we read, what we absorb. There may be very good reasons to consume sensory food, but often our real purpose in these moments is simply to run away from ourselves and to cover up the suffering inside. We often do it mechanically. Perhaps we are used to doing it, or we just want to kill time. We may want to fill up the discomfort inside, the sense of emptiness. We want to avoid encountering ourselves. We are afraid to go home to ourselves because we don't know how to handle the suffering inside us. That is why we are always reaching for more and more sense impressions to consume. Our senses are the windows to the outside world. Many of us leave our windows open all the time, allowing the sights and sounds of the world to invade us, to penetrate us, and to increase the suffering of our sad, troubled self. Conversation is also a type of sensory food. Now, the third type of food called volition. Volition is our primary intention, motivation. It feeds us and gives us purpose. We act, but we don't usually have the space or quiet to act with intention. If we don't have any purpose feeding us, we are just drifting. Sometimes it seems the only intention in us is just to make it through the day. Volition is a tremendous source of energy. But if our volition is just to make enormous amounts of money or wealth, or to have the largest number of likes in our Facebook post, or the largest number of YouTube followers, then this may not lead us to a satisfaction. Now, coming to the fourth type of food, consciousness. We may go on a sensory fast. We may abstain from eating food. We may cut off all outside noises and input. But yet, we are still consuming a potent source of our food, our own consciousness. This, along with collective consciousness, is the fourth type of food. When we direct our attention to certain elements of our consciousness, it means we are consuming them. For example, when we are having a cruel or angry thought and we replay it over and over again in our mind, we are consuming toxic consciousness. In addition to individual consciousness, we also take in collective consciousness in the form of living in the society full of violence, fear. This collective energy of anger and fear consumes us even if we don't want. The Buddhist monk and Nobel Peace Prize nominee Thich Nhat Hanh gives a simple guided meditation, which is very ancient. Let us just try to practice it for a few moments. Sit in a chair or with your legs crossed, with your spine straight. Breathe in. Say to yourself, I know I am breathing in. Breathe out. Say to yourself, I know I am breathing out. Breathe in. Say to yourself, my breath grows deep. Breathe out. Say to yourself, my breath grows slow. Breathe in. I am aware of my body. Breathe out. I calm my body. Breathe in. Say to yourself, I am smiling. Breathe out. Say to yourself, I am releasing the negativity. Breathe in. I dwell in the present moment. Breathe out. I enjoy the present moment. Even if we are not talking with others, if we are not reading, we are not listening to the FM, we are not watching YouTube videos, we are not watching television, nor are we surfing, still we do not feel quiet in our mind. Thich Nhat Hanh says this is because we are still tuned to an internal radio station, which is called radio NST, radio non-stop thinking. An endless internal dialogue goes on in our head, which never stops. We can take the example of a cow which hurriedly chews food, gobbles up the food because of the fear that some predator will attack it. Then it goes to some safe spot and then leisurely brings out the food and re-chews it multiple times. This is called chewing the cud. In the same way, we keep chewing the thoughts again and again. We have to learn to turn off this radio NST, radio non-stop thoughts. It is not that thinking is necessarily always bad. In fact, thinking is very productive. But the idea that we are our thoughts causes all these problems. We are much more than just our thoughts. Buddhist psychology identifies two parts of the mind called store consciousness and mind consciousness. Store consciousness can be likened to the basement. This is where all seeds of thoughts and emotions are stored. Seeds which go back in time, maybe to our past incarnations, and which is transmitted to us through our ancestors and parents. The seeds are stored in the basement and they get stimulated, or as Buddhists say, it gets watered through the mind consciousness. And it comes up and manifests at the level of mind consciousness. And it no longer is a dormant seed. but it becomes a zone of energy called a mental formation. Our freedom lies in what type of seeds we water, what type of seeds we stimulate. We can either water the seeds of compassion, or we can water the seeds of hatred and craving. Thich Nhat Hanh gives a method which he calls finding answers without thinking, which is a way to use our store consciousness properly, to handle our habit energies properly. We may ask, how can I solve anything without thinking? But right thinking is only the true proper way of thinking. In general, 90% or more of our thoughts are not right thinking. They just take us round and round in circles and lead us nowhere. The more we think, the more the stress and agitation in our mind and bodies. This kind of thinking won't solve any problems. Right thinking requires mindfulness and concentration. Suppose we have a problem which we need to solve. If we apply long thinking to it, no resolution comes to solve the problem. We have to give our mind consciousness a rest and allow soul consciousness to look for a solution. Our thinking mind, that is the mind consciousness, is not the soil. To take the example of a farmer plants seeds, fertile seeds in the soil and gives the right conditions like putting sunshine, water, etc. And the soil does the rest. The store consciousness is like the soil. The mind consciousness plants the seeds in the store consciousness and then practices mindfulness and hands over the seed to the store consciousness. After entrusting the seed to the soul, to store consciousness, we need to be patient. The store consciousness works when we are mindful and when we sleep. One day we find that the solution suddenly appears because we took refuge in the store consciousness. Thich Nhat Hanh gives two more suggestions for mindfulness. One is to recite a verse to ourselves when we get up from the bed in the morning. The verse goes as follows. Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live them deeply. I learn to look at everything around me with the eyes of compassion. The second suggestion is about mindful walking. Thich Nhat Hanh suggests that we give 5 minutes of our life every day for mindful walking. To dedicate 5 minutes every day to walking quietly and mindfully. To walk as slowly as we like. We begin by walking very slowly. As we breathe in, we take one step. As we breathe out, we take another step. We have to invest 100% of ourselves in the walking to be conscious of the ground, our foot making contact with the ground, and our breath. It is not the habit energy which is making us walk. It's our conscious mindfulness, our intention to walk, to gain freedom with every step. Walking like this is a pleasure. As we practice walking meditation, be fully aware of your foot, the ground, and the connection between them. Let our breathing be natural and match our steps to the breath. Take a few steps for each in breath and a few steps for each out breath. The out breath tends to be longer, so you may need more steps for it. The following verse is also recommended while doing walking meditation. It goes like this: Let the Buddha breathe. Let the Buddha walk. I don't have to breathe. I don't have to walk. The Buddha is breathing. The Buddha is walking. I enjoy the breathing. I enjoy the walking. There is only the breathing. There is only the walking. There is no breather. There is no walker. It is important to practice mindfulness when we are going through our routine everyday life, when there are not much problems. By doing this, it becomes easier to practice mindfulness when suffering arises, when there are a lot of problems. Being able to stop and to be aware of the present moment is part of the definition of happiness. It is not possible to be happy in the future. This is not a matter of belief. This is a matter of experience. Let us end with another guided meditation suggested by Thich Nhat Hanh, which helps us to cultivate spontaneity, freshness, solidity, clarity, and spaciousness. Breathing in, I know that I am breathing in. Breathing out, say to yourself, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. Breathing out, I feel fresh. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. Breathing out, I feel solid. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect things as they are. Breathing in, I see myself as space. Breathing out, I feel free. Let us rest in this mindfulness.